So namaskar students. In today's video we will discuss the term consideration under the Indian Contract Act 1872. So once we were discussing the features of contract, we have got a small introduction about the term consideration, and we have many times used this particular term also. It is a very important feature which we consider in the contract. So consideration is something which we also denote as the subject matter in order to have an easier understanding about. So we call that as subject matter, right? So first of all, we'll take one example so that we can have an idea. There are two people, one is A, one is B, right? A wishes to sell the car, right? B wishes to buy that car. So A is having a car which he wishes to sell to B, right? Suppose he wishes to sell that car in 7 lakh, right? So for B, what B would be getting? He would be getting the car. What A would be getting? He would be getting 7 lakh rupees, right? So for B, this car is the consideration. For A, this amount of money is the consideration. 7 lakh rupees is the consideration for A, right? So consideration means the parties, so these are parties, A and B are parties to the contract, what they are doing, which they are exchanging with each other. That is known as consideration. We call that as consideration. So there is a term also, latent term, which is also there, which says quid pro quo. Quid pro quo means something in return. Something in return means A is giving car and B is giving money. So they are returning something to each other. So this is what consideration. They're talking about consideration, right? So it says that it is a promise or it is a performance which the parties are exchanging. So simply, in order to have an understanding about the term consideration under the contract, it says that whatever subject matter you're dealing in, that makes your consideration. So we will discuss many features of consideration in today's lecture, and also there are many aspects related to the term consideration in the coming videos also, so that we have a better understanding about this particular term. So simply I hope it is clear that there are two parties, one is the promisor, one is the promisee. Suppose this person is the promisor and this person is the promisee, and what they are doing, they are exchanging something with each other, and we call that consideration. So in order to have a better understanding about the feature, we move ahead. So next we come to the features of consideration. So when we talk about the features, says that it must be at the desire of the promisor. So there is a person who has made an offer. Repeating it again, the person has made an offer to whom? He has made an offer to the offeree, right? Once this offeree accepts this offer, offerer becomes the promisor and this offeree becomes the promisee. It is very easy and clear now. So consideration, so we should know who is an offerer, who is a promisor, who is an offeree, who is a promisee. We should know this, right? So offerer is the promisor, offeree is the promisee. So they are saying that consideration must be at the desire of the promisor. So suppose the promisor has said us something, or the promisor has recruited this promisee on a particular job, and for which he is giving certain amount of salary also, right? Obviously, whatever work profile the promisor has asked him to do, only that would be done by the promisee and nothing else, right? Suppose if he is recruited for some teaching purpose and he has to teach QT, obviously if he is teaching QT only, then this promisor will compensate him. Suppose if he is teaching any other subject other than QT, suppose he start teaching marketing also, for which the promisor has not asked to him, right? In that case, this promisee cannot claim the compensation from the promisor, because consideration is what? It should be at the desire of the promisor. Whatever this promisor suggests, or whatever the agreement the promisor and promisee have made with each other, it should be that consideration or that subject matter should be according to that, not beyond that. I hope it is clear. Next one is that it says that it need not. What is the meaning of it here? It means consideration. Consideration need not benefit the promisor himself. What does it mean? So it is written here, A and B, two people are here. This is A and this is B, right? So it need not benefit the promisor himself. Suppose he wish to sell his car to B. There is a car which A is owning, and he wish to sell that car to the other party, which is B. Who is B here, right? Now he is saying it need not benefit the promisor himself. He says that you make the payment to C. A say to B that you make the payment to C, right? So I am selling this car to you. You get the delivery of the car, and the payment, you make that payment to some other person, right? Now this is which is saying that need not benefit the promisor himself. The payment is not coming to the promisor, but rather it is going to some third party as suggested by the promisor, because A is the promisor here. In this case, A is the promisor here. I hope it is clear. So it says, when someone on behalf of the promisor gets the good service, benefits or payment, right? So on the behalf of A, C is getting the payment here in this example. I hope it is clear. Next one is, it may be given by the promisee or any other person. Similarly, we can take up the same example. A has sold the car to B, and the consideration is the subject matter. Consideration is something which the parties are exchanging. So here the car is the consideration for B and money is the consideration for A, right? So that consideration may be given by the promisee or any other person. Instead of B says that D will make the payment to A. Suppose now in this case we would just a second. So we erase the role of C here in this case, right? There is no need of this role, and we come to the one of the party whom B is aware. Once A is selling the car to B, the payment has to be made by B, but instead of B, the payment is made. He is saying that D will make the payment to you. B is saying to A that D will make the payment to you. So this is what it means consideration may be given by the promisee. Who is the promisee here? B is the promisee here. Or any other person. Who is the any other person here? D is the any other person here. When some third party makes the payment to the promisor. So some third party is making the payment to the promisor, to A. Clear? It may be some act, abstinence or promise. So here we need to understand the meaning of some act, abstinence and promise. So it says that it may be some positive act. What is the meaning of positive act? You go to a shop, you buy some, suppose you are buying a notebook, right? And you are giving some money. What is this? It is you are doing something. What doing something? You are buying the notebooks or mobile or stationery or something like that, right? So it is a positive act. You are doing something. It's a positive act. There is no negative statement included here, right? So this is also a consideration. So the next one is, it may be an abstinence. What is the meaning of abstinence here? Means, we'll take one example here. For example, A and B, two people are here, right? And A says to B that I'll give you 5,000 rupees and you do not file a case against my friend, against my brother or against my friend, right? So you should not do something. What you should not do? That you do not file a case against my friend, right? So it is what? It is abstinence. It is what? What A is saying? A is saying that you do not do. So when we say that do not do, it means abstinence, right? Positive act means you go to a shop, you buy something, it is a positive act. Abstinence means you do not do it, and for exchange of that I'll give you some amount of money, for example. So this is the example of abstinence, right? Here this 5,000 rupees which is given by A to B is a valid consideration. It is a valid consideration for B. It is clear? Because why it is a valid consideration? Because abstinence, when you do not do something, that is also in itself is a consideration. It is a valid consideration because it says that abstinence is also a valid consideration, right? Next one is, it may be a promise. So there is a promise also. So for example, A makes a promise to B that he will be getting certain amount of salary every month, and for that he will be managing the the office of or organization which B is having, and A will manage that, right? So A will say he will get certain amount of salary every month, and for which salary, for that salary he would be managing the B's business, right? So this is what A is making a promise. So when there is a promise is being made between the parties, that promise to do something or to that promise to abstain from doing something, so that is also known as a valid consideration. Is it clear? So consideration means किसी काम को करना, some positive act, किसी काम को नहीं करना, abstinence or abstain from doing something. It may be a promise. Promise means when you are making a promise that you will do something or you will not do something in future. So that promise which you make to the party, to other party, is also known as a valid consideration. I hope it is clear through this example. Next one is forbearance to sue. What is the meaning of this? Forbearance to sue means that you have a legal right, you have a valid right to sue some other party. There is one person A, other is B. Suppose this is husband, this is wife. A is having, one of the parties having valid rights, right? Enough right to sue the other party because of the certain situation, because of the certain scenario, right? But for a promise which is made by some other person, for a promise, if this A withdraws his right to sue B, that is known as forbearance to sue. For example, A is wife here and B is husband here, and because of certain situation, A was going to sue the husband, right? Now the husband tells wife that you do not sue me, do not file a case against me, and I will give you, suppose, some amount of money to you every month, for example, right? So I'll keep paying you money and you do not file a case against me. So what it is, if for this promise, this is a promise which is made by the husband, right? Now for this promise, if this wife forbear or withdraw her right to sue the husband, because she was having a right to sue the husband because of a certain situation, if she withdraws that right and does not sue the husband, this is known as forbearance to sue. This forbearance to sue is a valid consideration in itself. It is a valid consideration.